Hi, welcome back. In this video and the next few videos, we're going to be using jQuery UI, which is another framework that is built on JavaScript and also on top of jQuery and allows you to deploy rich user interface features in a web-based application. And you can see right here on their website exactly what it is. It includes effects, widgets, themes, interactions, and many more things. What it can do for you is allow you to build a lot of functionality in a very small amount of code. And it's also widely used. There are a lot of plugins and other available modules that have been written by other developers that you can then reuse in your application. So it's very handy. To get started with jQuery UI, go to jQueryui.com and click on this download link. It's been included with the source code that's part of this video, but if you want to add it to another application, you can. Just click this download button, and it'll include all the jQuery UI effects, features, widgets, modules, and so on. In the code that's included with this video, you'll see that there's a jQuery UI folder, which contains all of the necessary components to include jQuery UI in your application. We are going to use jQuery UI's drag and drop capability to build this region right here that the user can click, drag, and drop over the image to make it colorful. We'll see that we can accomplish this in a very short amount of code, probably about 5 lines or less. We'll start out with a blank HTML5 document. We've included the jQuery document.ready function, so we don't have to type that again. I'm going to add the CSS for jQuery UI right here. This will allow us to style certain visual elements without having to rewrite all of the CSS rules. And then we'll also add the JS, which just includes the core functionality of jQuery UI. Not necessary to look at those right now and understand all the details. Just know that this is how you include jQuery UI in an application if you want to start using it. First thing we'll do is create a simple div tag and give it a class of draggable. This will be the region that the user drags to make the picture colorful. Just take a quick look at how that looks like. There's the draggable area. However, just giving it a class of draggable does very little. It can't be moved on the screen, and this default look and feel were separate CSS definitions that were provided with this example and not part of jQuery UI. Those CSS definitions for draggable were here in the basic-page.css that is included with this example. As you can see, these definitions are purely cosmetic. In order to actually be able to drag that widget we created, we need to call a jQuery selector on the draggable class, and then call the jQuery UI function draggable. There. Now we can actually drag the region around on the page. But we still need to create that picture to drop it onto. The drop region is pretty straightforward. We'll just use an image tag, give it a class of droppable. An image has been included with this example. It's called flower-bw for black and white. Let's take a quick look. Now we've got the black and white flower in this region here. But when I drop it, nothing happens. There's one more thing we need to do, and it's pretty simple. Just as we called jQuery UI's draggable function down here, we need to do the same thing on droppable. That makes the object droppable. There are a few arguments we need to give it to handle the specific case here. The first is a drop callback. This is just a function that gets fired when an object is dragged on top of a droppable. The drop function actually is fired when the mouse button is unclicked, because in dragging an object, you click on the object you want to drag, move the mouse over the drop zone, and then release the mouse button. So we're capturing that release. There are two event arguments available. One are the standard event arguments that we saw earlier in jQuery for common events. Another is jQuery UI arguments that are available. You can read more about these in the documentation. We are just going to be using the event arguments, which we've named E, to get the control that is being dropped on. Use a selector and pass eTarget, where target is the drop zone, or the flower in this case. We'll change an attribute on that image, specifically the source attribute, and we'll switch that to a colorful version of the flower. The colorful version of the flower has also been included with this example in the image folder. The last thing we'll do is hide the object being dragged on top of the flower, the dotted region that says Add Color. There. Should be all done now. Now, when I drag this region, and let go of the mouse button, it adds color. Or, since we're the ones who wrote the code, it switches out a colorful image for the black and white one. There it is. A short amount of code has added a fairly powerful functionality to our web application.